What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Chuck Graham Show. This should be entertaining today. I'll give you a little background about myself, and you can follow me on Twitter at Real Chuck Graham. But give you a little background. I am a former cop, right? And I saw in Meridian, Idaho, where this lady was arrested for protesting the stay-at-home order. Well, first, let me just say this. You don't have special powers, or the government doesn't have special powers during a pandemic. They have the powers that they have. They don't get any kind of special powers. And the Supreme Court is pretty clear on certain curtailing of certain civil liberties during a pandemic or a disease, fire, or flood. But here's the thing. There are going to be litigation after this because the police are way stepping over their authority. And what I mean by this is if it was me and I was enforcing these, I wouldn't enforce them at all. Because you take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States when you're sworn in as a law enforcement officer. So I would treat it much like seatbelts. Who cares? I could give two shits whether or not somebody wore their seatbelt, and I never wrote a ticket on it either. But I will say this. That's been 20 years ago, back when I was younger. But let me just say this. Your constitutionally protected civil liberties, and I'm going to paraphrase this because I'm probably not going to quote it correctly, but Benjamin Franklin said, to give up liberty for temporary safety, you deserve neither liberty nor safety. The point being is, folks, we have to get back to work. And I said this yesterday when I put all this out, but that was when those police officers actually arrested someone for violating a stay-at-home order. That is way too far. Even in Kentucky, the district court issued a restraining order against one of the mayors there because it's really overstepping their authority. And these people are batshit crazy with power. So you can't treat your citizens this way. You have constitutionally protected rights. You don't have constitutionally protected permission by the government. You have constitutionally protected rights. You have the right to assemble. You have the right to freedom of religion. You have freedom of the press. If they were saying, hey, you can't cover this pandemic, what would the press be doing right now? Oh, they would be up in arms. So what's the difference? I mean, it makes no sense. And these law enforcement officers need to step back and understand that you're not always going to be wearing that badge. But I can tell you this, the Second Amendment was our protection of a tyrannical government. It has nothing to do with hunting. It has nothing to do with protecting your lives. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do, and this was ratified back in the day when the government and the people were equally armed. So think about that for a second. The Second Amendment is to protect the people, to protect itself from a tyrannical government. That's what it is. Now, I'm not saying that everybody should have an Abrams tank in their driveway. If they could afford it, why not, I guess. But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the fact is, that's the mindset of our forefathers. We just fought and died for our freedoms. You have people that we've sent to war. You've had people that have died. You've had people that, frankly, sacrificed everything, life and limb. You got people walking around with prosthetic limbs that fought for those freedoms. So to suspend those freedoms, all because we're trying to save the lives of certain vulnerable Americans that chose to live their life and treat their body like it was a honky-tonk, and now they have underlying conditions, is insanity. Now, I'm not saying that you want anybody to die, because you don't. You don't want anybody to die. You don't want your mother to die. But you want to keep their ass at the house voluntarily. But my point is, without rambling here, my point is this. police officers, you need to step back, because not only is this going to end up in tons of litigation. I see it. I told my wife when these curfews and these stay-at-home orders came, I said, you're going to see a ton of litigation. And if that would have been me that they arrested, once I bonded out, I would have immediately filed a cause of action against the city of Meridian, Idaho, and an injunction for a restraining order. So the fact is this: do you need to stay at home? Yes, probably. Especially if you're vulnerable. But we need to get the country back working again. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about for a second is AOC. I listened to a portion of what she was talking about, telling people don't go back to work. Why would you want to go back to work and work a 70-hour work week just to support your family? That you deserve more than that. You deserve, let me just say this. People, when it comes to building a company, the person that takes the risk reaps the reward. That's how it should be. That's how it is. That's why we had a awesome economy to begin with. That is insanity, and it's socialism. That would be like telling Google, you got to give all your profits up. The point being is this: if you take the risk, if you hock your house, or if you get a HELOC loan and put a hock on your house to build a company and you succeed, the workers that work for you get a wage. That's it. That's it. And if they work 70 hours a week, they should be adequately paid for it. I agree with that. But to sit here and say that you should stay home because you're not reaping any kind of reward and let the government take care of you is plain insanity. And we don't have the resources to do that. And every time socialism is tried, it fails. And I hate to go back. And for the record, Denmark is not a damn socialist country. And I've read numerous times where they tell people to quit calling us socialists. We're not. They have a lot of social programs, but they're not a socialist country. Back on message here. The fact of the matter is, if you work for a company 70 hours a week, and most America's AOC want to work for what they have. They don't want to sit on their ass and do nothing. Like you. You're nothing but a social media influencer. That's it. That's what you are. You're not a congresswoman. You've done nothing in Congress but rattle your cage and your base and advocate for social programs that will never work, and cheering that the oil companies go under. Oh, that's awesome too. The fact of the matter is, you have no idea whatsoever what drives an economy. And to say that somehow working 70 hours a week is bad, it's not bad. It's America. That's what we do. We work for what we have. So, just because someone's rich doesn't make me poor. If you want a yacht, I suggest you build a company and buy a yacht. If you're happy coming home and having enough money to have a house and family and fish on the weekend, some people are just absolutely happy with that. Wouldn't want a yacht. And then some people, they strive and they sacrifice and they build companies and empires and they have a lot of stuff. But sometimes they're empty because they had to sacrifice spending time with their family to build that. And I might add, by them doing that, they have created jobs for all of the people that work. And they create a means in which the people can provide a decent wage for their families. And Trump has done an excellent job bringing those jobs back to us. But to hear AOC's message yesterday about how it's some kind of I don't even know what the word is for it. that it's bad that people work 70 hours a week and they should stay home. They should say, no, we're not going to work. That is insanity. Not to mention it would crash the economy. I mean, we're teetering already because of this stupid shutdown. And what's going to really be really bad for politicians was when they find out that this virus is probably 10 times more infectious than the flu, but 10 times less deadly. I mean, we don't even have a vaccine for this, and it's only killed, I think last time I looked, it was 30,000 Americans. Now, I say only because the Spanish flu in 1918 killed 50 million people worldwide. Now, my point being is this. We don't want anyone to die. We want to protect our elderly and our vulnerable. But the same people that are advocating that we keep the country shut down and we want to protect our elderly and vulnerable are the same advocates that they want to stab a baby in the back of the head after it's born because they believe in post birth abortions, like that stupid Virginia Governor Northam. So my point being is pretty much this. They don't care about, the left doesn't care about you. They care about them. They care about being in power and control. And you see that crap with the police that are abiding by these stay-at-home orders or enforcing these stay-at-home orders. And I will give our here in Mississippi, I'll give our sheriff a lot of credit. He said publicly, if you think we're going to go and harass the public and enforce these orders, you're crazy. We're just not doing that. And thank you, Sheriff. So that pretty much concludes it for me today. But if any of you people listen to what that kid that's in Congress spews and that socialism is the way, let's get back to work. Let's build this country and let's create jobs for people. So, and there is dignity, by the way, AOC. There's dignity in working. There's dignity in knowing that you did it, not the government. You wasn't given anything. You went to work. You're the one that paid for this. You own property. You bought a house and built a house and paid for it. There's dignity in that. With that, God bless you all. And stay safe. See you on the next video.